Hey guys, Marsing here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we're going to go over a bunch of the stuff that was revealed in the JP data download today. We talked about a little bit of it on the stream earlier this morning, but there has been a few more bits of information, a few more bits that have come out from the data, including some of the animations and things like that, that have pretty much solidified what the new mechanic for the 9th anniversary is going to be. And this is very exciting. It is something that people have wanted to see in the game for a long time. And it's funny because of all the crazy suggestions of things that people come up with in the community over the years that they would like to see being added into the game. This is something that makes a lot of sense to have in the game, especially as events become more and more difficult, and something that would work very well. It's a suggestion that I've always felt has been a good idea for the potential future of the game, and we are going to see that coming to fruition with the 9th anniversary. Now, thinking way far ahead, it'll be funny to see if one of the things that very often happens with Global is that because we are behind when it comes to the anniversary by almost still the full 6-month gap that the game used to have for everything back in the day. A lot of stuff now, the gap is a lot shorter, but of course the anniversary, the date never changes, so we always have to wait until July. And then when we get a bunch of same time releases like Saiyan Day, Golden Week, things like that that come out before the anniversary for Global, if one of those units has this mechanic, then it comes to Global before the anniversary. So that is going to be very, very interesting. So the mechanic, of course, as it says in the title, as I'm sure you've seen already, is going to be a taunt mechanic, essentially, that allows you to draw all of the attacks from the turn to that specific character, or at least that's how we believe it's going to be based on what we have seen in the data. So shout out to Proton, as always, for putting out the thread to break down all the details. We have the easy A's for the 50% type supports. I made a video on that earlier going over them and some of the details. So make sure you do go ahead and check that out if you haven't seen it. Obviously, all of their medals and all that kind of stuff was in the data download. That is going to be an Extreme Z area. And then obviously there's all the info for the LR Super Saiyan 3 EZA, which I have covered. I've done a showcase for him already, so check that out. He's an absolute beast. The final chain battle for JP, which will be against the Perfect Form Harudagan. And then this is all the stuff for the new ability that's being added into the game. These are the assets. It's hard to really make out everything just from the image, especially on this view actually, but these are the assets from the targeting ability, which I will show in a slightly better image. And here are some of the new in-game conditions for some of the assets. This bottom corner one with the all the arrows appears to essentially be the attack drawing one. Be interesting to see if bosses will be able to do this as well, but I mean, well, that doesn't make sense because you're only fighting one enemy. But if bosses are able to put it on one of your characters, I guess I should say, right, where they pick a unit that they all attack, I'm not really sure. We also are seeing all this info about enemy round skills. So this appears to be what is almost essentially like an enemy's version of like a domain ability, but we don't really have a lot of info about it. Some of these assets here with the pink seem to be something that is going to be activating one of those abilities. So I believe actually there is a link here to that animation as well, because there's a couple of different animations. There's another tweet from Proton. So this is this animation ability essentially being activated. So it's just going to be something that the boss can do to you, it seems. Or this might be the one for the taunt, but the enemy round skill appears to be an enemy ability that they can use, which is actually really interesting because domains were added in the worldwide celebration. We haven't seen a ton of them released so far, but I feel like that's a way to make some of the enemy events a little bit more interesting without just ratcheting up all the numbers, depending on what these abilities will be. Because obviously if the domain is just something like Future Gohan's and how good his is, right, where the boss's domain is just that you'll take more damage, then it is essentially that same thing. But imagine if the boss had a domain that they could randomly activate on a certain turn, and it did something like disabling your entire team's dodge, but only for like the 2 turns that it's active or something like that. Things like that could be very, very interesting. And then this is the mechanic for the actual taunt itself. So this is where, you know, we already saw there's things like target and things like that in the data code that have led people to believe that this is how this is going to work. But this animation is the thing that kind of really does put seemingly the final nail in it. But this is the animation that will play. So you can clearly see like the target appears over your character that you have in the tray at the bottom, and then the 3 arrows come in from the side, all pointing into the middle. Now obviously this, I'm assuming the symbol will appear wherever in the rotation the character is. It's not like they're going to have to be in the middle slot. And a few things still remain unknown, right? We don't know whether your character uses this ability and then regardless of where they move, all the attacks are targeted to them, which I assume is how it works. But it could be interesting, right? You could use these to target like a unit who's in slot 3 and then put a character in slot 3 that has like a load of dodge or something that you want to float off for that turn, and then your 2 units on the rotation. It could save you if you get a bad rotation where you have no slot 1 units and you can pull all the attacks into slot 3 and then potentially have your slot 1 and 2 units just go crazy where they can't be attacked and potentially even finish off the phase. So we don't yet know. If I had to guess, I imagine the attacks will probably stay on the unit, although that would be interesting because obviously if you move them in the rotation, all the enemy attack icons would have to move as well. Maybe it locks them in place, but then you haven't picked up the key. I guess it could be like rotation locking, right? It just then locks them in place once you use it, and then you still get to pick up your orbs with the characters, them included. So there's a lot of things we don't yet know, but I mean, I feel like the animation makes it pretty clear that that is what this is. So this is obviously very, very exciting. I made a tweet when we saw this. This was when the first stuff had come out, so we hadn't really seen everything. So it says, if the new mechanic for the anniversary really is like a taunt, where it draws all attacks into one slot or one character, which characters or moments would you like to see represented by it? We'll make this into a video, which is this video right here. Hooray! So yeah, there's a lot of things that could definitely come into play. I saw some very interesting results, some very interesting replies on this, so I'm going to refresh it here quickly just in case there's been any added since before I set up the recording, and we will go through these here. I'll open up the quotes actually in a separate tab as well to take a look at afterwards, and we'll go down here and have a look. So first of all, we have our boy Abu, the Taunt Master himself. I mean, you know, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, very unserious, very taunting of Omega Shenron, so definitely makes a lot of sense for him to be a character that would have this kind of ability. And one of the things I really want to know, because we still yet don't, is what sort of animation that we're going to get, right? Because the thing I could imagine that this will be is you swipe up or down, because I'm assuming it'll be an active skill more so than a standby, right? Because standby usually includes some sort of like transformation or something. But you swipe up on the screen, and then it will play an animation, and then after that animation you then get the effect where it does the thing, you know, we saw with the arrows where it draws all the attacks in. So, you know, for example, it could be the animation is going to be them taunting, like imagine Gogeta with the various things that he's doing, like kicking his feet, poking his tongue out. Could even have like the party poppers like thing as part of it or something maybe. So that's something that still remains to be seen. Very much can't wait to see how those are going to be in game. Our boy the Vegito King taunt mechanic was made for Vegito. Can't wait until Super Vegito gets one. I mean, a standalone Super Vegito, we haven't seen one for quite a long time. A lot of people are thinking that them rolling out the big gun fusions like Super Vegito and Super Gogeta is something that we could expect to see for the 10th anniversary. But yeah, a Super Vegito for something like Golden Week or Worldwide with this ability would be super, super good. I guess probably saved for Worldwide because, you know, we'd want a standalone Vegito to be an LR with all these crazy animations and everything. But I think a Vegito definitely, whether it's Super Vegito or Vegito Blue, right? The fusions are all very cocky, so these characters all fit in very nicely. And this one I think is a great idea. I mean, you guys know I'm a huge Bardock fan, but sipping hot cocoa, absolutely spitting with this one. Imagine if this was the animation. If like you swipe up and then the animation is Bardock flies up into space, you get a brief cut of like this, right, where he's just dodging some attacks, punching some dudes, kicking some dudes, and then it goes back into the battle. All of the attacks get drawn into the middle. And then, of course, what I would assume is that characters that have this ability are also going to be very good defensively, right? Because it'd be kind of stupid to pull all the attacks into one character and then they get killed. So it's like a lot of the standby abilities where these characters go into this different mode where they then become incredibly difficult to kill, right? So you'd assume you do this, pull all the attacks into that slot, and then for that turn you get guard or damage reduction or something like that. And so, yeah, Bardock definitely would be a very good pick. I know we got a Dokkan Fest Bardock not super long ago, but it would definitely be nice to see a new one. I would definitely love to see this as a taunt ability in the game. Then we have our boy Mega Nice, the Menace, Hercule. A lot of people did say Hercule, actually. Hercule would be a pretty funny one, especially if his ability was, you know, he lures all the attacks in by him taunting, and then even part of the animation could be him slipping up or tripping over or something like that, and then his character, part of his defense mechanic for the taunt is that he just somehow manages to dodge like all of the attacks. Would be pretty funny and very appropriate for Hercule. Doesn't really make sense for him to be tanking, right? But him dodging, I think, would be really, really cool. Definitely very good. UI Goku dodging all attacks, Beast eating the attack for 0 damage, Vegito countering with the sword. Now this is the thing, we don't know necessarily if there will be a counter involved, but imagine if you throw those two things on the same unit. That's where it starts to become ridiculous, right? Imagine a Vegito that has counters for normal attacks, but then has the ability where you can pull all of the attacks into his slot. Like, that would actually be ridiculous with the amount of damage you could potentially do in one turn. In fact, the comment below literally says that, Vegito that has counters. So yeah, would be insane. Of course, it pulls in all the attacks. So, of course, that would include the super, if there is going to be one. So that would be very interesting. Beast Gohan, obviously, with the like the way he tanks the punch. I think that would be awesome. Especially, remember, imagine if they gave him a brief animation like the Fusion Zamasu when he becomes Sky Zamasu, where every single attack you have that very brief animation where he like face tanks it. Imagine if Gohan had something like that, where every single attack you just get the little animation of him just stood there, like looking at you as if it's like, yeah, what was that supposed to do for like every single hit, and it just comes up saying 0 damage. That would actually be awesome. So activates the domain time skip and all attacks redirected at this character counter with tremendous power. Yeah, hit would definitely be an interesting one, because hit's time skip, you think of it more of like freezing time as a way to sort of like avoid being hit, but yeah, comboing it with like drawing all the attacks into one spot and then essentially being able to not take any of those hits. I mean, that's where we're really going to see the power of this ability. If they have this ability where they draw all the attacks to them, but then they have some way where they're basically guaranteed that they cannot die from those attacks, that's going to be such a ridiculously powerful mechanic. And of course, one of the things I really want to see is how does this work against AoEs? Does it completely discount the AoE? Is it gone? It just becomes a normal attack in that slot? Does it become like 3 attacks against the same character instead of 1 against all 3? It'd be very interesting to see how that actually works. But yeah, of course, Dokkan Fest Hercule, like imagine the int one on steroids, right, with the built-in dodge and then an ability to draw all attacks into one spot. That would be very, very cool. Future Super Vegeta, I mean, STR Super Vegeta is obviously very outdated now. We're kind of waiting for his Easy A for the potential to be, for him to be good again. So a Super Vegeta would be pretty cool. Dokkan Fest Bardock, yeah, with the taunt mechanic. Now, this is something that we talked about, which is kind of funny. Imagine if the Broly movie moment where Goku and Vegeta basically just lead Broly to Frieza. Now, this person says, imagine if it could draw the attack to an ally instead of yourself. But, I mean, that would be kind of interesting. That would be sort of more the thing we were talking about at the beginning, where if you can use it to draw all the attacks into one slot, but then you can still move. That would be interesting. But imagine like a Goku and Vegeta card, where when you use this ability, it draws all the attacks onto them, but they exchange into Frieza. And then Frieza is like a really good tank. He takes a beating for the turn, obviously takes no damage, and then they fuse and come back as Gogeta, just like the movie. That would be awesome. That would be super cool. I think that would work really well. So yeah, I would actually love to see that. Literal first thing I thought about was Super Vegito. Oh yes, a lot of people thinking of Super Vegito. Cell taking hits from Super Vegeta. Yeah, perfect Cell. That'd be pretty cool. Imagine if it was like a second form Cell and you use the ability, he transforms into perfect Cell, draws all the attacks onto him, and then just like, you know, just tanks them without flinching. That would be awesome. Dancing Kid Buu. That's one that I saw as well. That's pretty good. Jiren with the I'll wait thing, and then Super Saiyan 4 Goku. There's a lot of great like taunt or like sort of bring it on moments, right, that would be very, very good for this. Blue Goku and Vegeta stand, yeah, there you go, stand by into Frieza and transforms into Broly. I think that would be very, very good. Now this guy, we do kind of have him already twice over, right, in different ways. We have the LR that's just him by himself with the unit super with a Goku. Then we have the standby of the Buu duo. But, you know, at some point in the future, it would be pretty cool. I don't think we would see something like that so soon, but I would like to see it. I'm a big fan of Vegeta, so of course, any Vegeta family buffs, I would love it. And then, of course, yeah, Vegito or Gogeta. I mean, yeah, the taunting with the, like, Boo, like, headpiece thing. Yeah, perfect. MVP 17, that's an interesting one. There are so many cool moments of him protecting his teammates towards the end of the TOP. Yeah, him creating, like, the barrier, that would be really cool. Drawing all the attacks in towards him, and then he just puts up the barrier. That would be super, super good. That would work really well. Obviously, we want, you know, if we are going to get a new UI Goku at some point and stuff like that, we would ideally like to see big buffs for the Tournament of Power team. So another really good Android 17, I think, would be very good for that. So, yep, definitely could be on board with this one. Then we have Beast Gohan taunt when he gets punched and grabs it and then says, my turn. That would be awesome. Blue Gogeta when he stepped in front of Whis and said, I got this. Yeah, that would be very cool as well. The GOAT Krillin, yes. You know, we were talking about this the other day about potential releases for 2024 and what Dokkan can do to make some, you know, good filler Dokkan Fest releases and things like that. And we still don't have a Dokkan Fest Krillin, which is kind of crazy to think about. We still do not have that in the game. So a Dokkan Fest Krillin with the taunt mechanic, there you go. It's right there. Perfect. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, of course. The Gogeta and Vegito. It makes perfect sense. That would be awesome, actually. The Gohan arriving to fight you, no, I want to kill you, as a taunt. That would be super good. And then, of course, the Beast Gohan as well. For this anniversary, Goku UI, he literally avoids the attack that Jiren's launches to his friends. And for the rest of the year, I would say only think about new Gohan, Super Saiyan 2 that receives the Cell Beam. There's a few interesting options for the anniversary, because obviously we're thinking about, a lot of people still thinking about the main headliners being, you know, UI Goku, Beast Gohan, Blue Gogeta, those kind of things. All of those characters do have a good potential for something like this, which I think would be awesome. I could see DBS Broly fought Goku and Vegeta at the same time, and then Frieza and Whis. Like, yeah, I mean, Broly fights everyone in the movie, right? At some point. Well, you know, everyone who's there at the end. That would be pretty cool, right? Like a Broly. Imagine getting a Broly finally that is actually a super good tank. And then, yeah, like, imagine the animation is him when he transforms into a Super Saiyan, of him where he rises out of that crater and has become a Super Saiyan. And then it draws all of the attacks onto him and he just tanks them all. That would be so good. I'd love to see that. That would be very, very cool. Cell taunts and nullifies supers within the turns he's in. Yep, that would be cool. We do need a new Cell, really. So that would be very awesome to see. Cell, once he becomes perfect, and is obviously very cocky because until Gohan transforms, he's the most powerful being at that point in the show, right? So that would be very, very cool. There's our boy Vegito Blue again. Counter unit Vegito, yep, taunts the enemy and then eats their hits for breakfast while slinging millions of damage. The only way for that to not be unbalanced, though, is you probably, as we've already said about counters, like, you'd still probably have to have them be taking some decent damage from supers, but otherwise they would be so ridiculously OP. But, you know, sometimes, especially when it comes to anniversary headliners, that is kind of awesome to have stupid OP characters. And then the other thing to remember, this is a very good point as well, which I'd forgotten to mention so far. The anniversary, we always get a free unit that awakens into an LR that has the anniversary mechanic, right? So we could potentially see that, because, you know, we had the free-to-play Barbody with the standby, the free-to-play, was it the 7th anniversary? We just had, like, the intros and stuff, right? For I'm trying to remember what the actual thing was for them, because what was the new mechanic for the 7th anniversary? I don't even remember now, but the free-to-play unit that comes out with the anniversary always has the anniversary mechanic, so that would be cool to see what that is. I guess this could be classified as a taunt. I mean, it could be. I mean, Gohan, after doing this and then kicking Cell Max, is then why he then basically does the giant planet-destroying Death Ball, so you could see that as a taunt. When Super Saiyan 2 saves Vegeta from getting blasted, that could be pretty cool as well. Super Saiyan 4 Chow Man and his student. Yeah, obviously Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Vegito is always, yep, the king of taunting. He has to get it. Beast Gohan. I mean, you can see, like, people talking about fusions, Beast Gohan. These are the units that we have in mind for the anniversary anyway. Taunt Z Broly where all of the Z fighters jump him. That would actually be awesome. This moment always makes me laugh in the Team's 4-star one because they take out all the other sound. So this scene just is so awkward when it's just the sound of, like, the sound of like punches being thrown and missing is just great, with them just all missing Broly. So that would be very, very cool. Also, yeah, no one mentioned Gotenks. We haven't had a new Gotenks for a while. That would actually be cool. I know a lot of people aren't like the biggest fans of Gotenks, but I feel like he's got to be a pick. I said earlier on in going through these, right, fusions are always some of the cockiest characters. So, and then yeah, that would be awesome as well. The Vegeta with the "You're Fighting Me." Obviously, no one's really expecting him to be one of the anniversary headliners for this year, but for a future release, that could definitely be very, very cool. We'll take a look at the couple of the quotes here, because I don't want the video to be too long. It's only showing one, even though it said there was a couple. So, Goku, who taunts all attacks and then nullifies with this animation. I'm assuming because it's the Super Saiyan one, right? So it's where his head just flies back and then comes forward, and he's just got like a little bit of blood coming out of his mouth, and it's like, wow. Is that all you got? So yeah, very, very cool. I am very excited to see what they do with this mechanic going forward. There are definitely a lot of very interesting options that they could bring to the table. So let me know what you guys think down below. If your comment didn't make it into the video, or you just didn't see the tweet and now you're seeing the video and you have your own ideas as well, do let me know down below in the comment section. Very excited to see what this is going to bring. You know, the new mechanic, not just the taunt, but the enemy potential abilities as well. Super excited to see what's going to be coming. Of course, you guys know, even as a global main, I'm a full-time creator now, so I'm going to be covering all of the JP anniversary stuff, you know, by next year, potentially. And it'll all be same time, but it isn't this year, so we'll see how we get on. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section of all this new stuff. Who do you want to see? Are you excited? Even as a global player, it's just exciting to see the kind of stuff that's going to be coming to the game. And I think, as I said right at the very start, this taunt ability is something that people have wanted for a long time, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, it's going to be a very strong ability potentially. So let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.